my good friend, who's going to chop it up because he knows a lot more than me. He's going to make me smarter here. This is Football's host with Omaha Production, Kevin Clark. Welcome back to the show. I feel like I haven't talked to you since the season started.
Well, I hope that's the explanation. I'm a little offended because as the world's biggest Orlando Magic fan, I didn't know where my invite was. I literally right off camera have a Magic hat, and I would have worn it, but I didn't get the text. So
can I tell you? Can I tell you that last night I'm sitting there and I'm with like very much basketball people, and I literally they were like, name someone on the Magic, and I could not. And I go, I think the last Magic player that I know was a Magic player was Victor Oladipo.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which was like 2012?
13. Well, he got traded in 2016.
Yeah, are they great? Because they looked great last night, or the Knicks just looked terrible.
They're okay. I did something stupid, and I predicted them to win the Eastern Conference on First Take.
I like it.
6 months ago, after they made a big trade, I was just letting my fandom speak for me. They started 2-6, and that clip has been in my mentions a lot. They're at 500. They gave the Knicks their first loss at the Garden overall last night, but that clip has been thrown in my face quite a bit. So I'm from downtown Orlando, so I love the Magic. I need them to win because I need that clip not to be old takes exposed anymore.
I think you just made me a Magic fan. I'm a Magic fan all of a sudden. I like the Knicks, and thank you guys for having me. However, it's such a funny, like at one point, like just being in New York is so funny. I was there, and I don't live here anymore, but like one guy, I get in a conversation deep about like Russian blue cats and like how they make the perfect birthday present. And then I turn around and I'm literally in a conversation of like, who's the Tony Kukoc of the Rangers? Literally. And then another point, I'm convincing the powers that be, the overlords over there at MSG, can I be the candy curator on the club level? They have like all that, like the candy wall, the free stuff. I'm like, I want to be the person, the steward of this. That's where my level of expertise is. Kevin, I really don't think I've talked to you in a long time. I'm so curious as we sit here now, week 11, which is so sad and crazy. What do you like? You and I have this shared thing of like doing the camp visits.
Yeah.
Like we go and we get the info and the vibes, and we say some of it and we don't say a lot of it. What is maybe you can take this whatever way you want. Like when you sort of measure where we are now and like what might have aligned with what you thought or doesn't align and surprised you, where does your head go first?
Baltimore. And here's why, is because I went there and there was a quiet confidence everywhere. And John Harbaugh said Lamar Jackson, to me, is one of the best passers in the history of football. And Kyle Hamilton had told me that they, on the whiteboard on the first day of camp, they wrote the phrase gradually, then suddenly, which is an Ernest Hemingway quote about don't tell the Ravens about losing all your money. But let's not get too in the weeds on that. But what they meant was gradually, then suddenly is about, hey, we're building, then boom, we break through. Okay, they meant it a different way. But what I think about a lot, Kay, over the past couple of weeks is I had them dead in the water. Like I was like, they've got backup quarterbacks playing, and the defense, whatever was happening in the second half of last year has gone away. And I'm like, all right, this is over. The Steelers are going to run away with this division. And now every single week, Kay, they're getting better and better and better. Derrick Henry looks like his old self. Lamar Jackson, even though it doesn't look like he can move as well as he has in the past, I think there's a lot of evidence that they're coming. And I'm thinking a lot about the quiet confidence they had, and it looks like they still have it, Kay. And that to me is the most impressive thing. Everybody, what's the Mike Tyson line? Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. They got punched in the mouth, and then they're going to keep going. And I think that to me, if I'm another AFC team, that's a little scary that they still have this confidence that they're getting healthy. And yeah, they've still got problems on the injuries on defense and all that stuff. But I think they're leading the league right now in games in which they've held an opponent under 17 points. So that to me is the story of the second half. You know, I had Ian Rappaport on my show a couple weeks ago, and I said, what's the biggest story nobody's talking about? And he said Joe Burrow coming back from injury and what that could do. And obviously Joe Burrow's practicing again. We'll see what happens around Thanksgiving. But like AFC North could get really, really intriguing. And if I'm the Steelers, I'm going to look at this stretch and say, man, I wish we had a bigger lead because weird stuff's going to happen in that division over the second half. And I kind of like the Ravens.
Steelers, I'm like, should never have traded George Pickens, and our season is in my head that's it for them. They should have kept both somehow. I feel like I don't feel good about the Steelers right now. I don't. And I also don't want to get into a situation where they get in, Kevin, and they're boring and get kicked out. Like
Yeah.
I want, like this is like the story of them in the playoffs. Like, I'm not into it or not even making it. With the Ravens, let's pull up the schedule. I share your sentiment. And I'm a big, they haven't even played the Bengals once. You think Derrick Henry's not going to put up like 9,000 yards on the Bengals in these two bouts? Look at this schedule right now. Not too, they have a couple toughies, but this is pretty,
Yeah.
this is pretty good for the Ravens. They're feeling them. I mean, to go from meltdown status. I mean, every week I got to tell you, Kevin, like I was on the show saying, I can't believe they're still favored to win the North on FanDuel Sportsbook. I can't, like, this is stupid. This is wrong. And then we're talking about like the rumors about Mark freaking Andrews. Let's get rid of him, trade him. We're rebuilt. Like, and now they might have what we call this, like, this is the most important time, right? To have the momentum, the confidence, and they, of course, have the playmakers. Do we worry about Baltimore in the playoffs? Do they have like a narrative they have to dispel?
Well, that's part of the quiet confidence is I don't think that that's seeped in a lot. And I had Marlon Humphrey on my show over the summer, and I said, is anything, when you lose a playoff game, doesn't matter who you are, but you hear these, and I'm on these shows, but like the ESPN talk shows, the NFL Network talk shows, the FS1 talk shows, they'll say all sorts of stuff about you from February until August. Because frankly, Kay, you know this, we don't have a ton to talk about because there's no games. So we're just talking about the same 10 teams and what do they need to do to get over the hump, whatever. And I asked Marlon, I said, is there a narrative that really ticks you off? And he said, no, we ignore it except one thing, which is he gets really mad, and by extension the team, if someone questions Lamar as a leader. That's the only thing, because sometimes Lamar's a choker or whatever. They don't believe that at all. But I think they understand that all of the narratives about them are untrue, and I agree with them in large part. I mean, if Mark Andrews, who you just mentioned, catches that pass in against Buffalo, we're talking about a completely different narrative with the entire franchise, right? There's so many little breaks that frankly, to me, there's a couple of Lamar performances that he'd want back, but in general, they've been very, very close. And the AFC, to me, it's a little bit.
I think it's fun.
It's crazy. But it's a little bit fun. Like I compare it to like a golf tournament, like the Masters, right? Where it's like there's 7 or 8 guys who should win all the time, right? Rory should win all the time. John Rahm should win all the time. Colin Morikawa should win all the time. Scotty Scheffler should win all the time. And then it's just a couple breaks right at the end that determine, maybe you roll into the trap and all of a sudden your week is over. That's the AFC to me, where there's a bunch of quarterbacks. There's a bunch of quarterbacks, Kay, who should win the Super Bowl every year, and they don't, because the AFC is a dogfight, and then there's this guy Mahomes, and so it's tough for me to say I'm concerned about Baltimore, because first of all, I don't even know what they're going to look like in January. But second of all, like at some point they're going to break through. I think the same thing of Josh Allen. You just keep going up the mountaintop, and eventually, as they said, gradually, then suddenly.
You confidence in the Bills because of Josh Allen?
Yeah, it's all Josh Allen. I mean, that's the problem. Is my confidence is all in Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen, but the receiving core. Their receiving core is really bad, and it showed itself where they took away James Cook in Miami on Sunday, and nobody could get open. Keon Coleman can't get separation. The screens they were on with Khalil Shakir, he couldn't even get the 2-point conversion there. I just don't know offensively how much variety they can show in January when they're going to need to win 3 games. Again, Josh is amazing. Josh, I mean, I've asked this question to smart people in football. If you need one play, if you need 8 yards for your life, a lot of people would pick Josh Allen. He can figure it out. He can hit the tight end. He can hit the, he could scramble if he needs to and take the hit and keep extending. But I'm looking at this and I'm saying they should have, it sounds like they tried to get Jalen Waddle. That didn't work, but they should have tried to trade for at least somebody on the outside who can create separation.
I don't know how that doesn't work. I don't know how that doesn't. I don't know.
I would have traded for another.
Shaheed.
Yes, I would have traded for another pass rusher after Michael Hoyt goes down. I just think there's roster-wise, I'm not seeing how they bridge the gap with Kansas City. I'm not seeing how they bridge the gap. Even with
Bills
the
fans right now are like, "Are you joking? We just beat Kansas City." The fact that Kansas City's favored to win, and I love KC, but I'm like, why are you favored to win the Super Bowl? What is we have such confidence, I guess, in the system, and at the end of the day, it probably will be the run back of Eagles Chiefs, honestly.
So I want to address that because I went on my show after that game. So here's what happens. That was the most Patrick Mahomes ever been pressured in the regular season. And it was the first time in history that Patrick Mahomes had a completion percentage under 50%. And the reason was they were in his face over and over and over again. And then in the fourth quarter, Michael Hoyt gets hurt. And so I say, hey, you got to swing a trade now. You got to be offering first-round picks for defensive linemen and then just go for broke. I don't know if the Chiefs are going to look this vulnerable for a long time. And Veach always figures out how to maximize that roster, right? And so when I came on my show afterwards, I said, I want to see a huge trade deadline from the Bills. I didn't see it. I think the Chiefs are going to get better. And then we saw what the Bills looked like last week. And so that's why I say in January, I still see the Chiefs winning. And I by the way, I think Bills fans understand that's a statement that they made last week or 2 weeks ago, but they also understand all that matters at this point is January. All that matters at this point is January.
Yeah. I would feel better about the Chiefs being favored if you're talking about the trade you wanted to happen. Like to me, Breece Hall would make me feel so much better if he was a Chief. I know they don't run as much, him running all over the Buffalo Bills susceptible and generous defense a la Devon Achane in a wild card game potentially, which is still somehow on the table, which is wild to think that the Chiefs and Bills could be wild card weekend, is insane. I would feel a little bit better about that. But we have a game tonight I want to ask you about because we're talking about this crazy AFC. And yes, maybe the same old will happen and it'll be the Bills and the Chiefs and the Ravens in there, which is incredible football and incredible lore. But what if? Right? What if this rebuilding freaking roster can go? And here we are. And I was up in New England in training camp, sat with RKK, and he goes, I've got my guy. This is the quarterback. And I'm like, oh, cute. Yeah. Great. Love that. Love that. They have their guy. You interviewed Drake Maye before his rookie season. 1 year later, he's the co-favorite for MVP right now. When you did you see this breakout coming? And what are you seeing?
I really liked him. And I think that how bad he looked. No, I'm sorry. Excuse me. How much he fought through one of the worst situations I've ever seen from an offensive line standpoint. So he looked really bad at times last year. I think it's a good reminder for Titans fans, for some of these other fans who are saying, "Oh, our rookie quarterback stinks" or whatever. Wait until the credibility comes. Wait till you get the coach in there who's going to figure out what to do with you. Wait until you get the offensive line help. Go out and draft the trenches and just have credibility. I mean, Mike Vrabel's an awesome game manager. He's going to give you an edge in that way. Yeah, I saw it coming. I thought Drake Maye was really good. I went to University of Miami, so I watched a lot of ACC football. Not something I recommend, by the way, to a casual fan watching a lot of ACC football. But it just felt like he's so comfortable in the pocket. He's such a gamer. He wants to fight. He can throw the deep ball, as we've seen. He just clearly just loves football. And you mentioned me interviewing him. That's what came through when I talked to him last year, which is that he just loves the sport and he takes it as it comes. And he's very level-headed. And he comes from a family of athletes. His older brother, basketball players. And it just felt like there was no way he was going to fail. Now, does that mean he's going to be an MVP candidate in year two? I didn't see that coming.
He is.
But I did think he was going to have a very, very, very successful career. And I think the one thing we need to talk about, this is important about Drake Maye by that interview. So when right before he got drafted, he was training with Phillip Rivers. And I said, hey, how competitive is Phillip Rivers? And he said, well, Phillip Rivers, we do throwing competitions every day. And I said, does Phil beat you? And he's like, yeah, Phil beats me sometimes. So Phillip Rivers can still sling it. That's an important fact here, is that there's an MVP candidate who just a year ago was getting beaten in throwing competitions by Phillip Rivers down in Alabama. So Phil, whenever you want to come back, buddy.
Oh
The
my,
NFL is
don't
ready
even get
for
me
you.
started on that, Kevin. You're so amazing. We will see an MVP candidate, Drake May, against the Jets tonight to kick off Week 11. Everybody can get your content. This is football on YouTube, all over First Take. And congrats, or not, sorry, good luck to your Magic against the Nets tomorrow, NBA Cup group stage game. I don't know what that means. You brought up golf. I don't know what that means either. But you're the best, Kevin. Appreciate you.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you, friends. You guys can download all of his stuff, check out and subscribe on YouTube, of course, wherever you get your podcasts.